I'm Lester Holt in Haiti, where a tense and desperate nation is rattled again. Tonight, search and rescue teams, exhausted, are still digging for signs of life. And the help so badly needed here is starting to get to those in need.
Earthquake in Haiti. This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt, reporting tonight from Port-au-Prince.
Good evening. 4 days after the earthquake disaster, this remains an unsettled and dangerous place. Today, there were more aftershocks. They came every few hours, and each time they would send people scurrying to the middle of the street. A practice maneuver now here as people still leery of going inside buildings for fear of more earthquakes. With as many as 200,000 people feared dead, the United Nations today called this disaster historic, saying it may be the worst they have ever handled. Also, U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton touched down here today as well to see the devastation for herself. We can also tell you that three presidents, President Obama's, Bush, and Clinton, met today to map out the future of fundraising and to bring help in a massive fundraising effort for the people of Haiti. We'll get to all that as we continue here tonight, but we want to talk first about a new phase in the relief operation here, a dangerous one, because people here are simply running out of patience.
Who is here to help us already? We can't do nothing.
Now, 4 days into the disaster, a cruel disconnect is emerging between scenes like this, of food arriving by the plane load, and what people are not seeing in hard-hit neighborhoods just a few miles away. He needs food. Yeah. Shock and grief are now exploding into anger. Spontaneous riots erupted on the streets today. Government buildings burned, and there was even gunfire. Officials tonight are warning food convoys to increase their security as hunger and thirst take a mounting toll.
And most of them, they go into the shops and steal food. They bring it here and they hustle it. They sell it at black market.
The U.S. and United Nations are working to set up food and water distribution sites, but there are still many challenges. One UN official said the scene here is worse than the aftermath of the 2004 Indonesian earthquake because there were at least local officials there to coordinate with. Here, the government is literally and figuratively in shambles. Only half of Port-au-Prince's police force is on the street. The Haitian people know a little something about resiliency. They knew it before the earthquake, and they certainly know it now, as they have reestablished a sense of community, now beneath tents instead of in their homes, now destroyed. But they still need water, food, and even medical care. This woman has a hurt leg. She can't walk, but she hasn't received any care. There were also more aftershocks today, sending these jittery residents who were tapping a source of water briefly scrambling. Also today, bulldozers began attacking the massive debris, even when they couldn't tell if anyone was in it. And adding to the general weariness here are the dead left on the streets or decomposing in the ruins of their homes.
2 stories collapsed. There are several people inside, under it.
You can smell them.
And yes.
Those bodies are of this woman's 4 children. She wants to bury her children.
Yes.
But amid the death, life here continues to renew itself. We found this woman nursing her new son, born last Wednesday in this makeshift encampment, the day after the earthquake.
This is the father.
He and his family together, starting from scratch. People are still trying to live their lives any way they can. If you were watching the broadcast last night, you saw Kerry Sanders profile the heroic efforts to find survivors beneath the collapse of a supermarket. And Kerry is with us again tonight with an encouraging update to that story. Kerry?
Well, Lester, at that supermarket, it is a slow motion race, and we joined the search teams on their moment by moment, at times bare hand dig for survivors.
8:53 a.m., a search team from Turkey gingerly looks for an entry point. At minimum, they try to create an air hole for the living. It was the height of the shopping day when the 5-story supermarket collapsed. Inside, teams say there are signs of life.
I never gave up hope.
Fidel Amagrabi's sister-in-law was inside. He's held vigil here since the quake. He's weary but optimistic. Morel Dittmer is still alive.
I know that she's a fighter. She will live to go for her kids.
9:53 a.m., an American team joins the Turks. 33 members from the South Florida Urban Search and Rescue Task Force begin an assessment.
You go in one section, cover that area, and if they're not there, you have to go somewhere else.
With the help of blueprints, they build the structure backwards to see where air pockets have trapped survivors. From the roof, rescuers enter a hole, slither on their stomachs 5 feet to another hole, drop down, and create another hole.
Me and the other brothers worked for about 2.5 hours to get through about 12 inches of concrete.
It's slow, claustrophobic work in the dark.
It's a little nerve-wracking just to know that, if there's any tremors or anything, things can change very quickly.
10:07 a.m., the American team says they can absolutely confirm 2 are still alive. They talk to a 17-year-old girl who says she is with a boy.
They're telling us right now that they're not hurt, they're not injured, they're just thirsty.
And that fear of tremors comes true. At 10:59 a.m., for 11 terrifying seconds, the ground shakes.
Keep on going, away from the pile.
17 minutes later, a frantic phone call.
That where we're digging, we're on the right track.
Cell phone signals penetrate the pancake debris, and text messages are relayed to the command post.
There's a bunch of people in the aisle with him.
They're alive.
They're fine.
There's how many people alive?
He said more than 60.
60.
Yes.
For 5 hours, the Americans and the Turks dig, while in South Florida, Muriel's son Richie and Mickey anxiously wait for news of their mother. Finally, a water truck arrives. Teams snake a hose down to the survivors. This rescue effort is now a symbol of Haiti's hope.
They're still digging at this hour. They expect to continue digging tomorrow. As for that area where those 60 people may be trapped in that void, they tried to phone back to the phone. Nobody answered. They could not get through. It is a horribly anxious night for family members on the outside waiting for news, and of course for those on the inside desperate.
These are true heroes, these people who do this work. Kerry Sanders, thanks very much. We noted that Secretary of State Hillary Clinton touched down in Haiti today to see the devastation for herself. Our chief foreign affairs correspondent, Andrea Mitchell, has been traveling with the secretary. Andrea, good evening.
Good evening, Lester. Hillary Clinton said that she came here to listen. She came on a cargo plane, a Coast Guard cargo plane, carrying 650 pounds of water and military rations for the Haitian people. And as she said, she wanted to listen. Today, she heard a lot. Her mission to help unclog bottlenecks in the relief pipeline, to find out what Haiti's government needs most and how to get it to them. Meeting first with Haiti's President René Préval.
I want to assure the people of Haiti that the United States is a friend, a partner, and a supporter. And we will work with your government under the direction of President Préval to assist in every way we can.
In the maze of different governments and aid agencies here, Clinton says there are some things the United States does best. She says they are literally taking a Google map to identify 14 distribution points for water and food, and flying in water filtration equipment from all over the world. In an interview with NBC News, she challenged reports that vital aid is sitting at the airport, not getting out. There is a perception, and there have been complaints or reports of bottlenecks, that there's a lot of aid coming in, but it's very hard to get it out to the people who need it.
That's just not true. The aid is coming in, we're getting it out, there's just not enough of it yet, because we don't yet have the kind of distribution networks, nor do we have the port open. So everything you see is either coming in by air, and the airport has one runway.
Clinton said her first question this week was why not parachute food to the starving people of Port-au-Prince. The U.S. military said that wouldn't work in an urban environment. It could start riots. Clinton's aides also brought toiletries for the beleaguered U.S. Embassy staff, thousands of dollars of soap, toilet paper, even underwear. With an empty cargo plane going back, the Secretary of State is taking American evacuees out with her. They have been lined up at the airport, desperate to get home.
Our structure held up nicely, but most didn't. So we drove 3 hours here this morning.
Clinton said for her, this is really personal. She reacted emotionally to seeing all of this today. She came here on her honeymoon and has been coming back ever since and working very hard on Haiti, as has, of course, her husband. in the last year. So there's a lot of work to be done, obviously.
Andrew Mitchell, thanks very much. We should note that her husband, Bill Clinton, was among the 3 U.S. presidents at the White House today, George W. Bush and, of course, President Obama, to map out how they will encourage Americans to donate to the relief effort here in Haiti. As you know, President Obama tapped the 2 former presidents to help in that effort. And they talked about not only how to use that money, but to spend it wisely.
Good morning, everybody. By coming together in this way, these 2 leaders send an unmistakable message to the people of Haiti and to the people of the world. In these difficult hours, America stands united. We stand united with the people of Haiti, who have shown such incredible resilience, and we will help them to recover and to rebuild.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash. One of the things that President and I will do is to make sure your money is spent wisely.
And a program note, David Greger will have much more with former Presidents Clinton and Bush on tomorrow's edition of Meet the Press here on NBC. We have talked earlier in the broadcast about those who have not yet received the help that continues to pour into this airport, but we saw an example of those who did, and it was at a camp for displaced victims, and Michelle Kaczynski was there as it happened. Michelle?
Hi, Lester. We saw some of that. What we saw today was a makeshift camp in a park that had swelled to thousands of people, but then we saw how quickly coping peacefully can turn to chaos. Hundreds of people line a hastily arranged barrier of chairs at a U.S. Army installation in the Port-au-Prince Country Club. They know there are no supplies yet, but they wait for more than 12 hours.
Because now I'm getting very thirsty.
Jean-Baptiste has no home now either, and led us just down the hill to the newest neighborhood in this devastated capital, a sprawling camp where thousands live beneath sheets trying to survive.
Just see their faces. They are anxious, they are tired, they are hungry.
Many are injured. A woman whose home collapsed, a little boy. They cook what they could carry here, bathed with water that is undrinkable. Happiness is any shred of normalcy or peace. This tent has set up a sort of store.
They're trading. And some medical stuffs like aspirin.
But many have little to no food. These women say they will walk 3 hours to where they think they can find water. And for the most part, things are orderly and calm and generous until there's a drop of supplies. Then suddenly a chopper appears to toss down maybe 24 boxes of meals, and the race from every corner of this camp begins.
It's the baddest way to do it. They cannot stay from high and drop food, so people will fight for it.
Within minutes, most are winded and empty-handed. This man insists he will share, as others scream he had better. But some with the precious boxes are less willing, and a humanitarian gesture becomes a fight. It's for everyone, says a man who has none. But for a few moments, survival was all that mattered. We couldn't immediately determine what organization had done that food drop, but the Army here tells us that is exactly what they don't want to see happen. And in fact, the 82nd Airborne, which is right behind us, and those are the ones that are set up right above that camp, say that they're working on plans to distribute aid fairly and with security, which is vital.
Michelle Kaczynski, thanks. And you note the military. We have not moved, but our location is changing, and that the military continues to put down roofs here, adding more and more permanent structures as this operation continues to ramp up. Again, thank you for your reporting. We're going to continue our reporting from Port-au-Prince on the disaster here, including the fate of American families at home waiting to hear on word about their children when we come back. Just some of the images here from Port-au-Prince, where we were back now with a story of 6 people missing from Florida's Lynn University, 2 students, 2 faculty members, and 4 students. Today, the father of one of those students made a wrenching appeal to President Obama. We get more on that story now from NBC's Mark Potter.
As rescue workers continue to search through the rubble at the Hotel Montana for the 4 missing students and 2 faculty members, the father of one of those students, 19-year-old Brittany Gingle of Rutland, Massachusetts, made an anguished plea for help.
We are praying that our daughter Brittany be one of the rescued today and be brought home safe and sound. And I am pleading to President Obama to please send more people to Haiti to rescue. As a father, President Obama, you must feel our pain and what we're going through.
2 days ago, he and the parents of 2 other missing students were told their daughters had been found, but it was a false report. University officials say rescuers are working around the clock to find the missing, amid reports that voices may have been heard beneath the hotel rubble. Others are canvassing hospitals and airports in the Dominican Republic to see if any of the students or faculty had been taken there. At the university today, 6 of the rescued students talked about their missing friends and teachers.
We are pretty much 95% sure that they were all inside the building, the hotel.
School officials say they are following reports of anyone who's been rescued, as they and anguished families wait for word on whether their loved ones are also safe. Mark Potter, NBC News, Miami.
We are going to take a short break and then be back with a story of inside one of the few hospitals still operating here in Port-au-Prince. We'll be back. Welcome back to Port-au-Prince. Even before the earthquake, this city had a woeful shortage of healthcare centers in hospitals, and now severely injured people are being treated in some of the most primitive conditions you might imagine. Tonight, NBC's chief science correspondent Robert Bazell takes us behind the gates to the city's main hospital.
Hundreds of critically injured patients and their families have been waiting outside Port-au-Prince General, the city's largest hospital. 7 out of 10 buildings here were destroyed. There is no electricity, few staff, and little supplies. Pijan Duverdia's daughter was crushed to death in their 5-story apartment, but he managed to bring in his niece Simei, who has multiple severe injuries and still waits in the 95-degree sun. He says the niece's infections are getting worse quickly. Today some care began as some staff and volunteers arrived. Jareen Berna was cooking dinner when the quake struck and boiling water spilled on her 2-year-old son Tyson. A nurse puts bacterial lotion on the severe burn. Last night, the first volunteer doctors from Partners in Health arrived, and in the dark they triaged the patients to determine who should get care first, like this woman.
She has an infected traumatic amputation. In other words, her foot was cut off during the earthquake. So it's a priority for us. We got to control that infection, and the only way to do this is to re-amputate at a higher level.
The doctors are operating without electricity. There is no time to spare.
5 days of open wounds, they're all contaminated.
What will the future hold for those patients who survive? Dr. Ernest Benjamin, a Haitian by birth, works at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York.
You will try to get prostheses for these people if you can.
If we can. But again, that will be later on. Right now, if the person needs prosthesis, that means already half a success. That means we already saved the life.
At the hospital morgue, the bodies of those saved and those simply dropped off are piling up on the street with no more room inside. All day long, dazed people pour in, searching for family or friends. Usline was looking for Beatrice, her best friend from school. More patients keep arriving as the race to save them picks up ever so slowly. Robert Bazell, NBC News, Port-au-Prince.
When we come back on Nightly News, Americans helping to save the children of Haiti as we take a look at members of the 82nd Airborne here setting up camp at the airport in Port-au-Prince as part of the relief operations. Finally tonight, the story of Haiti's neediest children and the Americans who even before the earthquake have been trying to help them. Here's NBC's Ron Allen.
As soon as Mike Wilson heard about the earthquake, he raced here from his home in Nashville to be with Tia. She's almost 5, an orphan, who Wilson and his wife are just months from legally adopting and bringing home. But now the quake has put all of that in doubt.
It's extremely important for us to get her out because we want her to be safe.
Tia's orphanage was right at the quake's epicenter, badly damaged. She and about 50 other children were evacuated safely. Wilson brings her to the airport every day, hoping to be among the thousands able to board a plane out. He says she's confused and afraid by what's been happening, but knows from her time in an orphanage that airplanes mean something special.
She knows that there have been many of her friends who have left with somebody and they've talked about an airplane.
The big problem is that the adoption has to be approved here in Haiti by the courts. However, the court system, like so much else, lies in ruins. Wilson says that U.S. officials have told him there is not much they can do to help. For now, Tia and the other children live at the orphanage director's home. Like her, many have adoptive families in America waiting to bring them home. Food and water supplies are day to day.
It is very urgent. It is an emergency. It is a matter of life and death.
Dr. Jacob Bernard and his wife Claudette fear the quake could rob these kids of their chance for a better life.
In the next few weeks, there can be a pandemic in Haiti, and the children are the first one who will be the victims.
I'm more worried about
Meanwhile, Wilson pleads for compassion, a diplomatic humanitarian gesture that would let Tia leave Haiti and enter the United States.
I'm willing to do anything, sign anything, leave anything, do anything, whatever it takes to get her out.
Every day they're at the airport, hoping to be on the next flight out to begin their new life in America together. Ron Allen, NBC News, Port-au-Prince.
And that's NBC News for this Saturday night. I'm Lester Holt reporting from Port-au-Prince. I'll be back here tomorrow morning for Today, and then I'll be back with you again tomorrow evening. Until then, good night, everyone.